From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
The Marion County Health Department just gave local schools permission to return to in-person learning earlier than first announced, but IPS says it's taking a different course. Good evening to you at 7. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. The health department says students in 1st through 12th grades can return to the classroom on January 4th. That's a change to the order from last month that said at least January 15th. In order to return to school, the following requirements must be met. Students and staff must be able to social distance. Students in grades 3 and above and all staff members must wear masks. Parents, students, and teachers are recommended to avoid non-essential travel and contact outside of their household 10 days before they return to school. But late this afternoon, IPS released a statement saying they do not expect to return to classes on January 4th. Instead, they will review data after the winter break and decide whether to resume in-person learning on their original target date of January 19th. Here are the latest numbers tonight from the State Health Department. Another 6,604 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with COVID-19. 96 more Hoosiers died with COVID-19, bringing the total number of deaths to 6,302. Since March, more than 404,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. More than 4.7 million tests have been administered in Indiana.
A major step forward today in the race for a COVID-19 vaccine. Within the last hour, an FDA panel voted in favor of authorizing Pfizer's vaccine for emergency use here in the U.S. The FDA is expected to follow the recommendation just issued by its expert advisors. The group concluded that the shot appears safe and effective against the coronavirus in people 16 and older. A final FDA decision is expected within days. So when can you get a vaccine? The first to get vaccinated for COVID-19 in the U.S. will be some of those hardest hit by the pandemic. Frontline healthcare workers and support staff and residents of long-term care facilities.
Starting to get vaccine doses in people's arms by the middle and end of December, and then more in January, more in February, and as we get into the late winter and early spring, a lot more.
The next groups to get vaccinated haven't been decided yet, but in January it could be more healthcare workers and other essential workers like emergency medical techs, firefighters, and police. In March, it's possible that the U.S. will still be in phase 1 of vaccination simply because of the sheer numbers involved. By April, if more vaccines have been approved and brought online, it's possible phase 2 of vaccinations could begin. This group might include K-12 teachers and staff and other child care workers. Young adults and children would have to wait until phase 3, likely to be May at the earliest.
There are plenty of concerns, skepticism, or questions about the vaccine itself. For African Americans, vaccines and medical research are tied to a dark history. WRTV's Cameron Riddle shows how leaders in the Black community could play a role in easing fears.
As Indiana waits for its first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, there is hesitation among many Hoosiers, but that hesitation is likely highest among African Americans.
As a pastor of 32 years and as a professor for several years and just, kind of a social scientist myself, I can tell you it's not going to just be do this and the African American culture by and large embraces it. It's not going to work that way.
The community's mistrust of medical research goes back hundreds of years to the days of slavery and continues today. Many of them know the story of a group of Black men from Tuskegee, Alabama, who were used by researchers to track the then unknown course of syphilis from 1932 to the 1970s.
They were enrolled in 1932, and even though there was medication available in 1947 that could have treated the syphilis, they were not told.
Elaine Hernandez is a medical sociologist at Indiana University. She says while people of all backgrounds may be hesitant to take the new vaccine, the history of African Americans and medical research must be acknowledged.
Everything that we've seen so far this summer, all of the systematic racism and institutional racism that exists in other institutions exists in medical institutions as well.
Dr. Clyde Posley Jr. is an Indianapolis pastor who hasn't held an in-person church service since March. He says when the coronavirus vaccine is available, he'll gladly take it and even do it publicly, but only after enough people have taken the first round and it's proven safe. He says only when that's done can the Black church push their members to get the vaccine.
There is, of the people I've talked to, there's a consensus that we would like to see some specific trials relative to Black people headed by Black people and influenced by Black stakeholders in the African-American community.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
The State Department of Health announced this week that the state will soon receive more than 50,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine for healthcare workers. But scammers are using that information to try to get your money. Experts say scammers are taking advantage of confusion and are sending messages to people via email, text, and social media, offering to get you early access to the vaccine. Scammers may pose as the health department, insurance company, or your medical provider to offer you the vaccine. The Federal Trade Commission also issued a warning this week saying you cannot put your name on a list to get the vaccine, and you cannot pay to get the vaccine early. The Indiana Secretary of State's office recommends getting vaccine information from two sources: the State Department of Health and the Centers for Disease Control.
If you are someone who is in a high-risk category, you need to be connecting with the real sources of vaccines and not somebody who's just going to take your money. It should be noted, too, that everything we've heard so far is that these vaccines will be free. So if anyone is trying to charge you for a vaccine, that is a huge red flag.
The Federal Trade Commission says no one from a vaccine distribution site or private insurance company will call you asking for your social security number or your credit card or bank account information. If you do get scammed, you can report it to the FTC or the Indiana Attorney General's office. You can also call the National Elder Fraud Hotline at 1-833-FRAUD-11. That's 1-833-372-8311.
And let's flash back to temperatures this afternoon that jumped into the 60s. That's right, 63 in Bloomington, 64 in Terre Haute. Indianapolis hit 60 for the high. That was then. This is now a full 10 degrees cooler in the metro area. Some other spots have dropped 15 degrees. Currently it's 50 in Terre Haute, 47 in Bloomington. Temperatures overnight around 40. We'll be back to 54 tomorrow. We'll talk about the changes that arrive tomorrow and what to expect Saturday. We'll do that shortly.
Still not giving up. Up next, the latest legal play from Donald Trump supporters as they try to get the Biden victory erased.
With 4 days to go until the Electoral College votes, President Trump and his supporters are trying to make a last-minute push in the Supreme Court to overturn President-elect Biden's victory. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze is in Washington with the latest.
As courts nationwide have repeatedly rejected baseless efforts by President Trump and his allies to overturn the results of the election, the president is now pinning his hopes on a long-shot lawsuit filed directly to the Supreme Court.
See what happens. We have tremendous cases right now, a big case.
The president referring to a lawsuit filed by pro-Trump Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, claiming 4 key swing states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin, improperly changed their election rules and therefore should not certify their results. President Trump lost all 4 states, while all 50 states have already certified their elections ahead of the Electoral College vote next Monday. Georgia's Republican lieutenant governor arguing his state's election was fair and legal.
It's hard to go down this road of just believing mountains of misinformation, of supporting mountains of misinformation, and also in the same breath support democracy. They just don't line up with each other.
Of the dozens of lawsuits filed so far by President Trump and his supporters, at least 45 have been dismissed by courts across the country, citing a lack of evidence. Still, the president and 17 Republican state attorneys general are now asking to sign on to the Texas case, which the Supreme Court has not yet indicated it will even consider. Texas AG Paxton, who's under federal criminal investigation for alleged bribery and abuse of his office, having lunch with the president and 11 other AGs today in what the White House called a pre-planned meeting. Meantime, Trump is demanding GOP members in Congress add their names to a list showing support for this latest legal effort at the Supreme Court to make him president. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy not signing the list, but saying he supports the president's right to take the case to court.
The president has a right for every legal challenge to be heard. He has a right to go to the Supreme Court with it, yes.
The 4 swing states sued by Texas responding in a scathing rebuttal today, asking the Supreme Court to swiftly reject the case and calling it a seditious abuse of judicial process. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
They are doing it for the culture and for the economy. Coming up, a new organization with a provocative name and mission and their big goals for 2021.
Half an inch of rain possible as we get to Saturday. We'll talk about what follows the rain coming up.
A new organization is growing out of the pandemic. Its goal is to help bring back the economy in Indianapolis by promoting the culture of the city. It's called Gang Gang. We sat down with its founders, Molly Jeffers and Alan Bacon, both of whom already have years of experience in promoting culture in Indy.
Gosh, I think, 2020 has birthed Gang Gang, right? Like everything that made 2020 what it is. Over the summer, we, were thinking about how to come out of this, what the new world looks like, what a post-pandemic and post-global civil rights movement world looks like, and how we could help shape that. And we started to think about the economy and how we could rebuild that with equity in mind. And, everything that we thought about came back down to culture as kind of a driver, and culture as a response, culture as the answer. And so that's where we decided to go all in and support culture within the creative economy as a way to rebuild and revive Indianapolis and our larger economy.
Yeah, so just the overall purpose of Gang Gang is to produce, promote, and preserve culture in cities. And so there's no place to do that than right here in Indianapolis. And then we believe that, as we've talked so much just the past 6 months about what divides the country, we believe that through culture is the human connective tissue that brings us together. So we're trying to focus more on culture, trying to focus on just art and design and fashion and music and food and those things that are within the creative economy that we can help to amplify and really just increase the importance of those things as it relates to city economic development and other things. Understand that Gang Gang is very audacious and very bold, but also there's a cultural undertone as a reference to the Black experience in America. And Molly is a big word person who kind of researched the origins of the word gang, and we felt that it was even a bigger compliment to what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, the original meaning of the word gang was going or a journey. And then later in Middle English, it was a set of things or people which go someplace together. So, the modern kind of use of the word, being used to kind of criminalize groups of Black men is actually not the definition of gang. It's just kind of what's been adopted. And so we are using it in its original definition, which is people on a journey together. Actually a lot of energy, not surprisingly, within organizations and corporations and even the private sector to put resources around ideas that will impact racism, right? That will impact equity. And so we're all about collaboration for 2021, and we're all about elevating the subject around culture being an industry, and that, even in our city, in Indianapolis, it's something that, we should leverage. We've got cultural assets, and we can leverage that to become more of a cultural destination. And so that's what we're going to be pushing for in 2021.
Thank you to Molly Jeffers and Alan Bacon for talking to us. You can find out more about Gang Gang's work online at ganggangculture.com. Here's Kevin.
Amanda, we've been showing off holiday lights here for the last week or so. You could go on for the year. Lots of beautiful displays, and this is one of them. Stephanie Patton sharing this with us. Love the simple elegance. Love the white lights. Everything looks in a state of perfection there. And temperatures in the 60s doesn't help, or doesn't hurt, I should say, if you're out setting up any kind of decorations. Again, tomorrow or Saturday, it will be at least warm. Holiday lights photo contest at WRTV.com. Just send your picture in, and we'll show a few on the news at 7. Also, you could win a carload of tickets to Christmas Nights of Lights. That is at the State Fairgrounds. Not a carload of tickets, but tickets for a carload of people. There we go. Don't want to confuse myself or you. Well, temperatures were the big story today, and tonight we'll stay a little warmer. We'll hold off on any rain until we get to later Friday night and Saturday. That's when it becomes most likely. Temperatures cool quickly, though, this time of year. 46 in Greenfield now, 47 in Fishers, 53 in Martinsville, where they were in the low 60s not that long ago. Still at 56 in Evansville. See the green colors, all that warmth sitting down to the south. We'll bring that back to the north again tomorrow. Friday and Saturday, very mild, much colder on Sunday. Saturday will be that transition day. The gusts tomorrow around 20 miles per hour out of the south, keeping our temperatures above average by 15 to 20 degrees, I guess is the best way to put it. And you can see anywhere along Interstate 70 temperatures in the upper 50s. And we'll see more cloud cover as we go through the afternoon. Skies become mostly cloudy. Overnight, tomorrow night into Saturday morning, very windy as the storm system approaches, bringing rain into central Indiana. We may have a rumble of thunder, not expecting any strong storms. Then much colder air returns Sunday through most of next week. We'll keep our eye on Wednesday, potential for some snow showers or light snow. Temperatures will be just above the freezing mark for the high. We'll be back right after this.
Time magazine has named LeBron James its 2020 Athlete of the Year. The publication recognized the 35-year-old basketball star for achievements both on and off the court. James led the LA Lakers to a record-tying 17th championship title this year. It was his 4th NBA title and 4th Finals MVP award. It marks the first time in NBA history that a player has won the accolade with 3 different teams. James has also been one of the sport's leading voices in speaking out against racial injustice and police brutality. Fans of Colin Kaepernick just received a sweet surprise this holiday season. Ice cream maker Ben & Jerry's just unveiled a new flavor to honor the former football player. In a statement, the company says the flavor, called Change the World, celebrates Kaepernick's courageous work to confront systemic oppression and to stop police violence against black and brown people. Kaepernick says he is honored to partner with the company. His proceeds from the sales of the ice cream will go to his Know Your Rights camp, founded in 2016.
A real-life Toy Story plot unfolded at a New England Home Depot when a lost doll became a temporary employee. Employees found a Sheriff Woody doll that had been left behind at the store in Plowstow, New Hampshire. They posted on social media asking locals to get the word out. They also had a little fun adding images of Woody all dolled up in his signature Home Depot apron, putting in some work around the store, and it worked. About a week later, Woody was returned and reunited with his owner, a 2-year-old boy who, along with his dad, regularly visits the store.
I handed him Woody and his face just lit up. It was the cutest thing. Like, it made my whole day.
Despite his time at Home Depot, it looks like Woody's job for now is simply keeping this little guy company for years to come. And from a toy story to a toy store, the iconic FAO Schwartz is offering up a night of wonder by listing its Manhattan toy store on Airbnb. One lucky family of 4 from New York City can spend a night there on December 21st. They'll have free reign of the 2-story, 20,000 square foot Wonderland. It also includes a shopping spree, a feast, and a music lesson on the famous giant piano. Here's the best part. The priceless experience is very reasonably priced. It's only $25 for the night. An online lottery for the stay on Airbnb's website will help determine the lucky winning family. Again, it is for New York residents only.
Sounds pretty cool. Hey, with most movie theaters barely open these days, this is the perfect time for Samsung's latest product, a 110-inch TV. The company says the Titanic television will launch globally sometime in the first quarter of 2021. This TV has an embedded Majestic sound system that's supposed to deliver 5.1 channel sound with no external speaker. As for the picture quality, Samsung says it used millions of tiny LEDs to create stunning lifelike colors and accurate brightness. If you want to get your hands on one, there's just one small problem. Samsung isn't revealing the price for this enormous TV just yet.
They can only mean one thing.
You could go ahead. The TV, the remote has to be about this big, I would say, for that TV. It's got to be huge. 57 tomorrow afternoon.
See you at 11.